How to buy a modular classroom in 5 easy steps. The first step is to determine whether or not modular classrooms are in fact the solution to your problem, or the best solution to your problem. In most cases, modular classrooms are going to be the solution of last resort, and we'll talk about that in more detail later. The second step in the process is to determine how does your organization purchase a product such as a modular classroom. As an example, a public school will use a different process mandated by law than a private religious school. It's important to understand your own internal process because that will drive a lot of the decision making as you go through this process. The third step is to make a wish list by asking yourself the question, in a perfect world, if we could get everything we wanted within our budget, what would we have our modular classroom look like and what purpose would it serve? The fourth, and obviously one of the most important issues, is to determine a budget. How much are we willing to spend? How much can we afford to spend? How do the revenues that we expect to get from adding this modular classroom, how do those revenues support how much we can spend in this process? And then the fifth and last question to ask is how much of the actual work of delivery and installation of the modular building is our organization willing to either coordinate or do itself. Perfect example of that is some schools will have a licensed electrician on staff. They may or may not want to use that electrician's time to make the electrical connections for the modular building. These are all important questions that you need to ask. If you've purchased a modular classroom in the past, you'll recognize that at some point in the process you came up with answers to all these questions. If you have not, by going through these in an orderly way, you can save yourself a lot of time and effort in the process and make it much more efficient.
Great. And so anybody that contacts you, you'll walk them through this process and just determine even if it's a good fit for them to go with the modular classroom for the route and when and all the steps to get there.
That is correct. We will walk each prospective customer through this process. To be quite honest with you, many times our customers determine right off the bat that a modular classroom is not the best answer to their solution or answer to their problem. And usually that becomes evident early on in the process. We find that that's very helpful because you don't want to go through this whole process and develop a budget and be contacting potential subcontractors and spending lots of time designing and budgeting on a process when in fact you have a solution right next door that's much easier.
Great. All right. Well, we'll dive into all that stuff next.
Okay.